in your life. So one of the things is we have to look at why do relationships go down. You know, sort of we're going to look at the black box of some relationships to see what goes wrong. The other thing is when we talk about not being a victim, that means we have to own our own reality. Now, let me talk to you about owning our own reality. There's snow outside. What if you had walked up to this lecture and you saw me outside yelling at the snow? You shouldn't be here. I don't want snow. I don't like snow. Don't be here. You'd go, there's a crazy man out there arguing with reality. And you'd go, David, it's snowing. It snowed yesterday before you came. There's snow. That's the reality. So just to help you understand, we have to really deal with reality. I say anyone have a time machine. Otherwise, we can't change the reality. If you can't, and even if we had a time machine, you'd need a weather machine to undo the snow, correct? So let's talk about how that plays out. I talked about it with the snow, but sometimes we have to see each other for who we are. Let me give you an example of that. I had a friend years ago, still a friend now, but I met her years ago. Every time we would get together, she would be a half hour late. I was furious, and she'd show up late, and I'd explain to her, I'm waiting at the restaurant. Do you understand how disrespectful this is? I don't like it. I went through all my stuff around it. And then I thought about reality, and a light bulb went off. And I literally thought, she's late. That's just the reality, no different than the snow. And at that point, I said, see you at 7 p.m., knowing I'm showing at 7:30. And I just moved up the clock 30 minutes for her and told her 30 minutes ahead of time, and life became easier. I just accepted the reality. Not only that, over the span of years, she has said to me, you're the one person that doesn't give me a lot of heat over my being late. She said, it's something I work on, but people are so, this is a few years later, but she said, you really accept me as I am. And then I noticed her time began to move up. She began to say to me, where are you? And I'm like, oh, you're there. I'm on my way. And now she kind of arrives on time. Now, what's the opposite of that is what I could have done and what we do most of the time. I'm going to negotiate with you. I'm going to try to get you to understand about you being late. And I'm going to think you being late is all about me. There was one gentleman when I was doing this course the other day, he goes, wow, it's so strange you tell that story. He said, I had literally the similar thing with my wife. And I even had to talk to our minister about it. He said, my wife was late every Sunday morning for church. And he said, literally, Sunday mornings was the least spiritual time in our week. Because every Sunday morning, there would be an argument because she wouldn't be ready. And so he said, I was just so embarrassed. We were always walking into church late. And he said, I eventually had a chance to talk to our minister. And he said, the minister said the same thing you said in a different way. He said, look, you have two choices. One, we have plenty of room in the church. You just come in late with your wife. We'll get to know you as the couple that comes in late. And that'll be no big deal. That'll just be it. Or you say to your wife, I'm walking out the door at 8, and I'd love to have you with me, honey. And if you're not ready by 8, no problem. You take your car, I'll take my car. I'll save you a seat at church on the aisle. And the minister said, those are really your two choices. And he said, and he actually made the choice that he'd rather be late and be with his wife. He said since he made that choice, it's a very peaceful morning. So it's about beginning to accept reality. And you know as well as I do, many times we look at the other person going, they got potential, they're not the way I want them to be, but I think I could change them in time. And it doesn't really work that way.